animal lovers are invited to watch the facility's penguins frolic outside the aquarium. And the little penguins are most happy when the temperature is below 45 degrees.
And finally, several times a week, British classical pianist Paul Barton sets up his piano at an elephant animal sanctuary in Thailand and plays for his four-legged friends, including a 65-year-old blind elephant. She's enjoying her lunch, listening to Barton's peaceful rendition of Silent Night. The owner of the sanctuary says the music seems to comfort the elephants.
With intern Louie, that's this week's edition of Lola's Lowdown.
Thank you, Charlotte, for your help. Thanks for watching, everybody. News 3 at 5 starts right now.
Right now at 5, Governor Walker has signed 3 bills, including one that reduces the power of the incoming Democratic governor and attorney general. How Governor-elect Tony Evers is responding.
Some small businesses in Columbus are struggling. What city leaders would like to see to create a more thriving downtown.
Many people experience increased anxiety, stress, and depression during the holiday season. What you can do to stay in the holiday spirit.
This is News 3 at 5.
Thanks for staying with News 3. It is a battle tonight over transparency and accountability in the State House.
Legislation newly signed by the current Republican governor would strip powers from the incoming Democratic governor. Rose Schmidt tells us what's next for these bills and those they affect. Rose?
That's right. Now, Governor Scott Walker says his administration will have the same powers as that of Governor-elect Tony Evers. But Evers is refuting that claim and says he won't back down. With the stroke of a pen, Governor Scott Walker signed into law proposals that weaken the powers of his successor.
There's a lot of hype and hysteria, particularly in the national media, somehow implying that this is a power shift. It's not.
Downplaying the idea that this is about Republicans trying to take away power from incoming Democrats, Walker uses the argument that this legislation is about maintaining a balance of power between the executive and legislative branches.
Going forward, they just make sure that we have transparency, accountability, that we always look to protect the taxpayers, and that we have a sense of stability going forward in state government.
Governor-elect Tony Evers made a personal appeal to Walker to use his veto pen.
The will of the people was not was ignored. It was an opportunity to reverse the election on November 6th, and I'm here to tell you that that's not going to happen.
The incoming governor held a news conference to condemn the legislation, which takes away Evers' power over the state's job creation agency and prevents him from withdrawing Wisconsin from a lawsuit challenging the Affordable Care Act. He warned that signing these bills would be what Walker is remembered for.
Frankly, he has chosen to make this part of his legacy, too. People will remember that he took a stand that was not reflective of this last election.
But Walker dismissed that, saying he's proud of the work he's done in office.
These bills don't change that legacy, and these bills don't fundamentally change the power of not just the next governor, but any governor thereafter.
With Evers set to take office in just over 3 weeks, he's determined to fight this.
And now that this legislation has been signed, I will be reviewing our options and will do everything we can to make sure the people of this state are not ignored or overlooked.
A group run by Democratic U.S. Attorney General Eric Holder says it plans to take legal action on limits placed on early voting under these bills that Walker just signed. Now, back in 2016, this Eric Holder's group and another liberal group sued in federal court to overturn a similar provision enacted by Walker.
Rose Schmidt in the newsroom. Rose, thank you.
A fire on Madison's west side is under investigation. Madison Fire responding to the structure fire. This on Meadowood Drive just in the last couple hours, just before 4 this afternoon. When crews arrived, there were flames, smoke coming out of that home. Fire officials say no one was injured. Red Cross now assisting those who were displaced. The man accused of assaulting 2 women and a teenager in the campus area last year has pleaded guilty to a number of charges. 31-year-old Coleman Chung pleading guilty to 5 of the 10 charges he was facing in 2 separate cases, pleading guilty to charges of attempted robbery, attempted kidnapping, first-degree reckless injury, and 2 felony sexual assault charges. The agreement call for 22.5 years in prison plus 15 years extended supervision. Sentencing will take place in about 2 months.
A Madison woman was found injured in her garage on Madison's west side this morning. Madison police say officers responded around 10 o'clock to a home in the 6400 block of Pilgrim Road following a 911 call. In the garage, officers found a 40-year-old woman who had suffered non-life-threatening injuries. She was taken to the hospital, and detectives are now trying to determine how the woman was hurt.
All right, let's get a look at your first alert weather with a very nice weekend on tap. Meteorologist Dave Caulfield joins us from the weather patio. Dave?
Well, Eric, after the fog got out of here early this afternoon, a beautiful day across southern Wisconsin with temperatures in the low 40s and plenty of sunshine. Right now in Madison on the WISC-TV Skycam, we're seeing the last semblances of light as the sun dips below the horizon. Right now, temperatures have dropped quite a bit. We're at 31 in Madison, and you can see how powerful that sun is this time of year. We lose it just for an hour, and temperatures really do drop quickly. Calm winds, and it feels like 31 as well. 31 in Madison, 29 in Lone Rock, 31 in the Dells, and 33 in Monroe. Dew points are in the mid to upper 20s, so we could see a little bit more fog break out overnight into tomorrow morning across southern Wisconsin. We still do have some dense fog closer to far southeastern Wisconsin and just over the state line across northern Illinois. So if you are heading south this evening, keep that in mind. The fog hasn't lifted everywhere, and this evening temperatures will continue to fall into the upper 20s, mostly clear and turning chilly. We'll talk about a wonderful weather weekend ahead, plus what to expect as we get closer and closer to Christmas Day in your first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
All right, Dave, we look forward to that. A man was arrested this week in connection with 2 robberies in Madison. Police say 49-year-old Douglas Diedrich was arrested Thursday for a robbery at an auto shop and another at a gas station. Police say Diedrich was waiting inside Wayne's Automotive on Cottage Grove Road, pretended to pay for some items. He then robbed the worker when the cash drawer was open. He is also accused of robbing the Spirit gas station. Diedrich facing 2 tentative counts of armed robbery.
Janesville police are looking for a man who took a generator from a porch early this morning. Police say the man took a Honda generator from a porch in the 500 block of Muir Street just before 4. A camera on the porch of the residence recorded the theft. Anyone with information about the crime should call the Janesville Police Department.
The Wisconsin Strip Club has agreed to pay $400,000 to settle dancers' claims that they were paid essentially nothing for their performances. Terriana Jones, who worked as a stripper at Cruz and Chubby's Gentlemen's Club, filed a federal class action suit in 2017 alleging that club managers required dancers to share their tips to such an extent that dancers weren't paid even minimum wage or any overtime. The class includes about 109 dancers. The club and the strippers filed a proposed settlement on Tuesday. That deal calls for the club to pay the strippers and their attorneys $400,000. The attorneys will receive $136,000. The dancers will divide $245,700. The settlement is subject to court approval.
The community of Columbus is about a 20-minute drive from the east side of Madison, and it's known as a bedroom community, meaning that many of its residents commute to Madison for work.
But city leaders there want to keep more people around to play there and create a thriving environment for downtown businesses. But the face of that downtown has changed a bit with the loss of some pretty iconic businesses. Maddie O'Neill joins us with more details on what the future of the downtown looks like in Columbus.
Yeah, well, as you guys know, this is my hometown too, so it's a little strange to see these changes. A number of staples in Columbus closed this year, including the Capri Steakhouse and Caldwell Lumber. And some major changes are likely coming to Sharrow's as well. What used to be a drugstore on the corner of James and Ludington is now a gift and coffee shop. The owners are having a retirement sale, looking to lease or sell the shop that's been in the Sharrow family for nearly 100 years. Owner Nick Sharrow says construction on James Street hurt his business, and it's just time to move on.
I don't have any magic answer for how to make small towns survive. You need help from the community, though, and you need the loyalty of the consumer in your various communities.
Shiro hopes to market the business as a coffee and gift shop to any potential buyer, and while he'd appreciate keeping the same name, it's not necessary. As for the Capri Steakhouse, the owner says his father owned the building, and after his death, it just became too expensive to keep up. The space is being marketed as a commercial property. One city leader thinks to create a more thriving downtown, it'd be best for businesses to focus on social media and things like that. We'll have more on that at 6.
Truly one of the beautiful downtowns in southern
Yeah.
Wisconsin. Great little town. Maddie, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Maddie. The Badger Prairie Needs Network is celebrating the launch of a new program it says will help feed thousands of Wisconsinites. The volunteer-run nonprofit held a ribbon cutting for its expanded facilities and the launch of the Kitchen to Table Food Network. The program will use surplus food donated by commercial businesses throughout southern Wisconsin.
See a family receive the food they get here and just so thankful for the help, the dignity, the respect that they get from coming here and receiving a hand. It's very rewarding.
The Badger Prairie Needs Network helped feed over 15,000 people this year.
Holidays are supposed to be a time of great joy and celebration, but for some people, they are anything but.
Increased anxiety, stress, and depression are also realities of the season. Our Killy Arthur joins us live at Hilldale Shopping Center to share what you can do to stay in the holiday spirit. Killy?
Well, the holidays bring warmth, joy, and light, but sometimes it can also evoke some not so great feelings. Luckily, though, there are some easy things you can do to help keep you and your loved ones in the spirit.
We were just browsing and just checking some gifts.
Together and shopping at Hilldale Mall on a Friday afternoon, Victor and Pam Santos have a lot to be happy about.
Yes, we love it.
And the holidays only seem to add to that joy.
We joined together as a family and we spent time together and also chill out a little bit.
But for some, this season rings in more negative feelings than positive.
It is, I mean, in general, even people who don't struggle with mental health or substance use disorder, they have an increase sometimes in stress and even loneliness. So then tag along with an individual who's struggling with depression or anxiety, that will increase it sometimes during the holidays.
Simon Shuan of Journey Mental Health says the holidays are tough, especially for those dealing with grief over the loss of a loved one. But the triggers come from all sorts of sources.
There's individuals who might not have family, and then the loneliness. And then there's a lot of stressors. Sometimes it could be financial. How am I going to afford getting my child presents?
Avoid social settings that make you feel uncomfortable. Get sunlight and fresh air. Create a budget to stave off financial stress. Set reasonable expectations when it comes to entertaining, and be by the ones you love.
Surround yourself with positive people and friends and family, because we forget that we have a right to feel happy during a season that's supposed to be happy.
And experts say we also tend to overconsume alcohol this time of year because we're celebrating. But the next time you head out to an event, try to set a limit for yourself and stick to that number. Back to you.
All good advice. Keely Arthur reporting live tonight. Keely, thank you.
More to come on News Street 5. Up next, this 7-year-old girl dies while in U.S. Border Patrol custody. What the Trump administration is now saying about it.
An American college student is dead in the Netherlands who authorities say is behind her murder.
And another crushing day to close the week on Wall Street. The Dow takes a nearly 500-point hit. The Nasdaq down 160. The S&P 500 falls more than 50. We'll be right back. The Trump administration is facing new questions after a 7-year-old migrant girl died while in U.S. Border Patrol custody.
In a statement posted to Facebook, Homeland Security officials confirm the 7-year-old Guatemalan girl went into sepsis shock and died after receiving emergency treatment from U.S. Border Patrol. Federal officials say she and her father were traveling with a large group of migrants last week when border agents took them into custody at the New Mexico border. During an initial screening, the father denied that his daughter was ill, but hours later he advised agents that his child had become sick and was vomiting. Officials say by the time emergency crews arrived, the young girl's temperature was over 105 degrees.
What happened here was they were about 90 miles away from where we could process them. They came in such a large crowd that it took our Border Patrol folks a couple times to get them all.
President Trump has been trying to stop a caravan of Central American migrants from reaching the U.S. Just this week, the president threatened a government shutdown if Congress refuses to approve his request for $5 billion to build his promised wall along the Mexican border.
Police in the Netherlands are investigating the murder of an American student there. Dutch police were called to an apartment building after neighbors heard arguing and screaming. Officers found 21-year-old Sarah Pappenheim dead. The Andover, Minnesota native was stabbed to death. The prime suspect, her roommate, a 23-year-old Dutchman. Police arrested him at a train station attempting to flee the city. President Trump has named his new White House chief of staff, tweeting that Mick Mulvaney will replace General John Kelly at that position. Mulvaney currently runs the Office of Management and Budget. Kelly will be staying with the Trump administration until the end of the calendar year.
Let's head out to the weather patio. If you're looking for snow, you're not going to like this weekend forecast, but if you have errands to do, it's going to be great. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Susan and Eric. Yeah, any last-minute shopping this weekend should be absolutely perfect because the weather is going to be mild and lots of sunshine is in store. If you were hoping maybe to hit the lakes for some ice fishing, this is not the weekend to do that at all. We did start out with some pretty serious fog this morning across southern Wisconsin. Took a while for it to lift on out of here, but in its wake, we did see some very nice sunshine and temperatures in the 40s for the first time all December in about 3 weeks' time. Last time that we did hit 40 degrees in Madison. Right now, those temperatures are tumbling, though, because we do have clear skies on the Edgewater Skycam. The almanac, as I mentioned, high of 42 today, about 10 to 15 degrees above normal for this time of year. High temperatures in some other spots, a little bit chillier in Janesville, especially at the airport where that fog really held on throughout the majority of the day. Others in the upper 30s and low 40s. So our December temperatures showing something that we really haven't been used to, especially over the last few months, which is a prolonged stretch of warmer than normal temperatures. I think today will definitely come in warmer than normal, and then for the weekend with high temperatures expected to once again be in the low 40s. I think that trend continues into the start of next week. So visibility for most of us is still looking good, but for far southeastern Wisconsin, closer to Kenosha, even Janesville at the airport, that fog is still hanging on. It's dense in some spots across northern Illinois. We do have another dense fog advisory until the early morning hours of Saturday. So if you are planning on heading closer to Chicago or maybe south this evening, keep that in mind. That dense fog will probably be part of your itinerary. Temperatures right now are in the low 30s and upper 20s. Once we lose that sunshine this time of year, those temperatures tumble quite quickly, so it will be a little bit chilly tonight, and dew points are still in the mid-20s, and even some of us are close to 30, signaling that more patchy dense fog could be possible for southern Wisconsin overnight as well. And with those light winds, just another indicator that we need to watch out for that fog. High temperature trend for the week ahead. Above normal temperatures are sticking with us, especially for this weekend where we see a return of the greens that we have not seen in quite some time. This weekend is looking fantastic from a weather perspective. Fantastic is a relative term because some of us want to do wintertime outdoor activities this time of year, and not this weekend, though. It will be the nicest weekend weather in 2 months. We really haven't been able to line up above normal temperatures and sunshine on the same weekend until this one. Future track is pretty quiet as we head into the evening and overnight hours. Again, some patchy fog, some of it dense as possible as we start Saturday, but pretty similar to what we experienced this morning. That should get on out of here, and plenty of sunshine in store for the the afternoon. Maybe a few more clouds for Sunday morning, but I do think those get out of here along with any fog that forms overnight on Saturday into Sunday. And some more sunshine is in store. We kind of are in that pattern for the next 3 or 4 days or so. Tonight, mostly clear with patchy fog, and some of that could be dense. Temperatures will fall into the 20s. We'll be in the low 40s for tomorrow. Once again, mostly sunny and mild outside. A quick look at your 7 to 10-day forecast. We're looking at pretty quiet conditions into the start of next week, but then those temperatures are in the 30s for the majority of the work week next week. And then some flurry chances do return. Really no accumulating snow. We are still watching the Sunday before Christmas Day as our best chance of seeing anything accumulating as far as snowfall goes. So here is your first alert traffic update. Park Street and the Beltline. We're noticing some slow go in both directions. Looks like some sort of incident has popped up on the Beltline over the last couple of minutes or so. So keep that in mind, and that is pretty close to Park Street. But right now, the Beltline close to Stoughton Road and the interstate is looking good, but we're noticing lots more in the way of brake lights closer to Park Street and John Nolan Drive. So eastbound Verona Road to John Nolan, that is a little bit slow, 7 minutes, average speed of around 40 miles per hour. Some other routes in and around Madison not looking too bad. Northbound on 151 downtown to Sun Prairie, that's 20 minutes, average speed of around 30 miles per hour. And that is your first alert traffic update. So the chances are still looking pretty slim for a white Christmas, but we're watching that Sunday still for our best chance of snow.
All right, thank you, Dave.
Thanks, Dave. Ahead at 5, the TSA has topped last year's record number of guns found at airport checkpoints. We'll share the alarming numbers after a short break. The TSA has topped last year's record number of guns found at airport checkpoints.
Screeners spotted more than 4,000 firearms in carry-on bags so far this year, and more than 8 out of 10 guns were loaded. Chris Van Cleve reports.
A loaded gun inside a Flyers carry-on bag at Dallas-Fort Worth Airport. It's a scene that played out thousands of times last year at TSA checkpoints across the country at a rate of nearly 11 guns a day.
Store you bought like over online or something like that? Yes, sir. Okay. Well, that gun's coming back stolen out of Florida.
CBS News obtained video from security cameras and police body cams at DFW Airport showing some of the 211 incidents where a gun was found inside a traveler's bag at a TSA checkpoint in 2017.
Excuse me, sir?
In this 59-year-old's carry-on bag, police found a loaded pistol and several additional magazines loaded with what police say was 61 rounds of ammunition. In Texas, that'll get you arrested if you don't have a license to carry a concealed weapon. But laws vary by state. Just 10 airports accounted for nearly a third of all incidents last year. Through Freedom of Information requests, we were able to review police records from 7 of them. The vast majority of the people involved are men. 63% were white. Most ranged in age from their 30s to their 50s. A review of the police documents reveals at least 3 incidents last year where it appears the gun was missed by TSA screeners at one airport and only discovered on the person's trip home. TSA Administrator David Pekoski.
I'm a little troubled by the fact that the gun went through the X-ray machine and was missed.
Oh, I'm troubled by that, too. I think everybody in TSA is troubled by it, and mistakes happen.
How often do those mistakes happen?
I can't give you an answer as to how often it happens, but when it does happen, we do everything we can to figure out why it happened.
The TSA is in the process of rolling out new CT scanners at airport checkpoints. That should make it easier for screeners to spot things like a firearm in a carry-on bag. The agency is also working to improve signage at checkpoints, reminding people you can't bring a gun through. Every person you saw in our story told police they did not realize the gun was in the bag. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Reagan National Airport, Virginia.
And stay with us. We'll have another check of your forecast in just a moment.
What a weekend on the way.
Oh, it's going to be so nice. A little bit of fog is possible tonight, and as we start off tomorrow morning, temperatures are really falling quickly into the 30s. It will be chilly overnight. Visibility, especially for our friends across southeastern Wisconsin, is still pretty low, but we'll be in the low 40s tomorrow with plenty of sun.
All right, we're back in 30 minutes for News 3 at 6. Stay tuned for the CBS Evening News.